Hey friends, how are you today? Glad you're here. Good to see you this morning. It is weather report from the porch. Sunny and hot. Hot, humid and sunny. Typical Tennessee summer day. Have you ever looked at your life and thought, when did I stop feeling like me? When we feel disconnected, we tend to think that we need a full reinvention, a new you. But maybe you don't. Maybe instead of looking forward, we should look back first. Hey, friends. Welcome to From the Threshold. I am Renee Hill, and each Saturday I come to you from my own front porch, my literal threshold, to offer a moment of reflection for anyone living a creative life. My hope is that it becomes a place where you can reconnect with your own creative story with a little more compassion. Wherever you're listening from, I am so glad you're here. Today, we continue our journey through a theme that touches us all: change and transition. Navigating transition can be disorienting, and figuring out who you are now in the middle of that disorientation can start with looking back, with remembering. I have a few times when I vividly remember asking the question, where did I go? One of them was not long after starting a new job, and I was in a car. I remember where I was sitting. I was behind the passenger in the back seat behind the passenger. I was in that car with three men that I barely knew, new coworkers, heading to the Detroit Auto Show, 3 or 4 hours away. As an introvert, that is a really long drive with people I don't know. And then I had to navigate a show with all of the being on that requires, and then a return trip in the car on the way back. That is a really long day. But I honestly only remember one moment from that entire day. And it was when the guy in front of me turned around and asked, "What do you do for fun outside of work?" I remember this rising panic. I had no idea how to answer that question. I literally had not a single thing to say. At the time, I was a stepmom of two teenage boys who lived with us, and I worked full time. And I realized in that moment that I had become buried in work me and mom me. I had no idea who I was inside and what I would want to do for fun. Maybe you've had a moment like that, or maybe about your interests. You've lost track of what you enjoy doing, or about your voice or your art or your energy. You don't remember what it was like to feel really good in your body. Maybe it's about your dreams or your life. Maybe your life hasn't turned out exactly the way you expected it to. Does anyone's? But yeah, sidetrack. Or maybe it did, and you're feeling like, I'm no longer that person who wants to live in that life anymore. And maybe you remember back to old feelings of anticipation, of youth, of joy, and you wonder where that girl is or where she went. There's this myth that we just move on from the past. But that's not how memory works, and it's not how identity works either. The past versions of ourselves, whatever past you looked like, that you're nostalgic for, maybe she painted late into the night, or spoke up without fear, or danced barefoot in the kitchen. That past you is not actually gone. You might think of it instead as archived, stored, waiting. And sometimes that ache we feel in the in-between isn't for something new. It's for something that we already were, but have sidelined somewhere along the way for one reason or another. Whenever we talk about remembering, about looking back, I always want to be clear to say that this is not about regressing. We're not trying to squeeze back into old shapes. You have grown, you've changed. You're not who you were, and that's a good thing. But inside of that change, there's often a thread that runs through it all, a core truth, a creative spark, a part of you that has not disappeared exactly, but you want back, a part of you that you want to bring with you into the next thing, the next phase. And the work of remembering is not about undoing who you've become. It's about honoring that continuity of who you've always been and reclaiming the parts of you that have retreated due to either external or internal circumstances. The world will tell you that you can reinvent yourself, as if every season of life requires a full overhaul, new aesthetic, new routine, new purpose, new you. And reinvention does have its place. I've done it dozens of times probably, but it is not the only way forward. Sometimes the deepest transformation, especially during uncertain seasons, comes from returning, not escaping, not a brand new identity, but a homecoming in a way, a reweaving of what still matters. So today I want to offer you a question. What have you always loved that's gone quiet? What have you always loved that's gone quiet? Maybe it's something simple like making music or writing letters by hand or baking bread on slow weekends. Maybe it's something deeper, a curiosity or a boldness or a voice inside that you used to trust. Try not to think of it as going back. We're not going back, we're reclaiming this thread because it can be pulled to the surface again, strong, visible, and important, connected to who you are becoming. Excuse me. That's what happens when I do 2 broadcasts sometimes. We're going to give you a metaphor to think about your creative identity. And if you know me, it makes sense. I collect antique quilts. So think of your creativity as one of those antique quilts on my shelf. Stitched together over time, some patches are bright and some are worn thin. Some are stitched over entirely and some are repaired completely or replaced. But if you hold it up and look at the entire quilt, you can see a through line. You see the pattern, the design, even if imperfect, even if faded. It's a story that still wants to be told. Remembering who you does not erase the uncomfortable nature of the moment. It doesn't erase the grief of past or present hurt, but it can awaken hope, can light up curiosity about who you want to be. We've said that the in-between spaces are full of uncertainty and confusion. And looking back at parts of us that we love but are dormant can give us something to focus on. The reclaiming of that thread can give us a focus or a purpose in our in-between times. There's a meme that I've read recently that says, from all the media that I've consumed growing up in the 80s, movies, comic books, I thought quicksand would be a much bigger threat in life. It's funny, but I think of this remembering as the way you actually get out of quicksand. You move slowly, you redistribute your weight, and you hold an anchor that allows you to maneuver your way out. It's not a quick process. So remembering can be that anchor that gives you something to hold on to as you maneuver your way through and out of the in-between spaces. So if this idea of remembering, pulling a past thread with you, is stirring something in you and you don't know where to begin, I'm going to give you 3 ways that creativity can help you reconnect with the parts of you that feel maybe a little bit far away. First, pick up an old hobby. Maybe it's painting or journaling or sewing or photography, something that you used to do just for fun, not for an audience or for a goal. We're not doing this to post or share. I want you to dust it off, try it again, not to master it. We're not looking at getting good in it. What I want you to do is use it to spend time with a version of you that loved that thing for a reason. First thing they tell you in couples therapy is to do the things that you used to do together when you were in love. And this is the same kind of idea. Do that thing that you used to do that you loved, and it helps you reconnect with that past you. Second, revisit a creative memory. Find a song, a photo, a recipe, or even a scrap of fabric or a piece of work that you'd done when you felt most like yourself. And let that be a doorway, not just for nostalgia and memories, but into the idea of thinking about what still matters to you and matters to you now. Third idea is to make something just for remembrance. Write a letter to your past self. Create a collage of who you were at any given point in your life. Stitch a symbol. Draw a timeline, not to go back necessarily, but to say, That you mattered and still does matter. Now, these are not meant to be performance-based practices. They're invitations to listen and reconnect and carry something forward with care. So if you felt a little bit disconnected lately, not just from creativity, but from yourself, maybe the answer is not to start fresh. Maybe it's to remember, to return, not to what you were, but to the thread that never left. You don't remember in order to be that person again, but to look back and choose the parts of you to bring with you. And if you want to explore how we can use creativity to navigate change in deeper, more intentional ways, I would love to invite you to join me tomorrow, which is Sunday, August 10th, as this is going live, for a live workshop using creativity to navigate the in-between. It's called Who Am I Now? A creative workshop to help you find your way through change. You'll learn stuff, you'll make stuff, and you will leave with a short, repeatable ritual that you can use everywhere in life. You'll leave with a personal map of your inner landscape and a bonus mini course. It's currently $27, and if you are watching this later, you can still grab it after the fact at the replay rate, because it'll be set up as a course for purchase. You can find out more and see upcoming workshop schedules at liminacreative.com/workshops. But for now, here are some questions that I want to have you consider this week. Ask yourself, what have I always loved that's gone quiet? What parts of me do I want to be sure to bring along with me in whatever comes next? And of course, I'll be right back here again next Saturday on The Threshold if you'd like to come on back. We're going to be talking about letting go of who you're not anymore. It's release is the word of the day. I would love to have you. Until then, stay passionately curious.